Good morning, everyone. This is Tim from Word of Life Church. Hope everyone's having a good, safe morning. We didn't get really any more weather as of yet this morning, but I believe they were thinking that more was coming in tonight into tomorrow than it was actually this morning. So hopefully everyone will be able to, if it does, something happens and does hit later on, people will be able to make it home. Really and truly, the weather, along with the economy and a few other items, is basically, what's on the airwaves today. Very first news article said, was titled DC Bullseye. It says, federal government to close early and 5,000 flights canceled as Winter Storm Jonas closes in with more than 28 inches of snow and 85 million people in its path. Yeah, this is promising. See, I was just thinking yesterday, maybe I even mentioned it, maybe last year was the Norse really big hits and something what they had, and this year was going to be our year. Still could be, but this is, as you see, there's a path going up toward Washington, Maryland, and that area, and there's, even down almost the outer edges of the Kentucky, and with us apparently. I haven't actually even checked our local weather news this morning yet, so who knows, what if anything has changed since yesterday, since they kind of give us a forecast of what was going on, or what they were forecasting. But we'll just have to wait and see. God's in control, so if He wants this to happen, and hey, the weather's the weather, people. You just gotta roll with the punches. I know that's kind of hard saying that if you don't have to drive in it, or you're off or something like that, don't have to worry about it. But I've spent several times driving home about 10 miles an hour, snow beating so hard down that you can barely see, and a normal drive home that took about maybe 20 minutes took over an hour and 20 minutes. So it can be rough, but this promises to be, especially up that way. So we might just be getting really the tail end of it, but up in northeast, looks like it's going to be pretty rough. So there's even, we'll get there. There's other stuff talking about below, but anyway, moving on. Here's a little bit of a factoid that I brought back a while back. I actually got, I think, numbers for maybe 2014 when I had brought this to the front, but this is just since this point. And this is the number of abortions in America since Roe versus Wade that happened in 1973. And the rest of the story says the ancients and their child sacrifice, which that was a big thing, especially with the worship of the god Molech, however you pronounce his name, that speaks about in the Bible. That's when it said, when you make your children pass through the fire. That's what it's talking about, a fire sacrifice to the god Molech. I won't describe what they do, no point. It just adds gruesomeness to the story, and there's no reason why. Just to know that they did that back in the day. But we are still doing it today. It says we have nothing the ancients and their child sacrifice have nothing over the United States blood guiltiness. We're still doing it. We're still sacrificing children. It's called abortion. And get this, since 73, there have been, according to this, 58,586,256 abortions in America since Roe v. Wade in 1973. That's unbelievable. And let me tell you something. Their blood is crying from the ground, and God is not going to let that go. He will not let that go. Now, if you've had if you're a person, you've had an abortion, and you've repented over it and got God's forgiveness, then I'm not talking about you, and I'm not beating anybody over the head. People make mistakes, especially when they're young and scared, and it happens. It does happen. I'm talking about the people who have no care for life whatsoever, like Planned Parenthood and groups like that. That they just want to worried about the woman's choice. Well, yeah, a woman has a choice. And many of them have chosen the wrong way, which was to murder that child. Now, a lot of people are going to be, can't believe you said that. Well, what do you call it? Even if you say it's just a blob of tissue, it's just a feed, it's just a blob of tissue, it's something that was turning into a human being. I don't believe that. I believe at the time of conception, it is a human being, and God's Word bears that out. So at any rate, any way you slice the cake, you are getting rid of something, you're killing something, that's a human being. So you tell me what that is. That's murder. As I said again, speaking to those ladies out there that have had that in the past when they were young, and I said they got forgiveness for it, and I guarantee it's probably at one point in their mind about maybe could be every day of their life they could still remember it and have regrets about it the rest of their life. So bear that in mind, young people. Be better off serving God as a young man and a young woman, and avoiding the pitfalls of youth. And this culture that we have here in the U.S. is a culture that just says indulge yourself and do what you want to, and because eat, drink, and be merry, because tomorrow we die. We're just a bunch of animals, so just act like a bunch of animals. That's a disturbing number to hear that many children being aborted. That's disturbing. Anyway, let's move on. Not really a whole awful lot this morning, but I'll go through what so I think it's as pertinent to what's going on in the world and things that's going on right exactly right now. New California state wants to ban sale of encrypted smartphones. Now, why would they want to do that? The bill, similar to a New York draft law, of course it'd be from New York, would prevent companies like Apple from selling its encryption-enabled iPhone on its own turf. See, they want to be able to gain access to whatever you can do, whatever your phone. Well, already the NSA records your phone conversations, your texts, what you do on the internet. It doesn't matter. So this is just a further reach of Big Brother. But yeah, it would be California and New York, places like that would be bringing up bills like that. So good grief. They don't have anything better to worry about or do than come up with stupid laws like this. I'm sorry, it's just comical to me that that they don't have anything else better to do than do this. Well, what can you do? Glad to live down south. A lot of people from north can't stand people that live down this way, but you know what? Whatever, that's fine. Migration, another news story. Moving on. Migration crisis can destroy Europe, says French Prime Minister Manuel Valls. The socialist Prime Minister said the concept of Europe that our founding fathers had is in very grave danger. That's another thing that we're hearing a lot of lately, of course, with our borders being wide open and jihadists being brought in by the government and such. And I know people think, well, he's just crazy talking about the government bringing in jihadists. Well, yeah. Get your head. I'm gonna say it again. Get your head out of the sand. Read. Do your research. Get into the. Quit believing what the smiling talking heads are saying on CNN and Fox News and the rest of the lamestream media. Yes, I did say lamestream. So anyway, let's move on. A lot of this stuff I don't even want to go into detail about. To me, something like that is, a lot more serious things to worry about. Let's see. The new bill would give tax breaks to concealed carriers. Well, that's different. Actually, something that would be in favor of someone carrying a concealed carry permit weapon. Everyone remembers the Fast and Furious scandal. This is related to that. It says Fast and Furious guns found in El Chapo, the guy that got caught. El Chapo compound as Obama scandal cover-up loses in federal court. Yay! Yes. Yet this scandal cost lives, and the Obama administration has been in cover-up mode for years to hide the truth about the reckless gun-running operation. Everyone remembers what happened. It was a gun-running operation. They tried to put in a bunch of guns so they could catch these people, and it's gun runners, and the people that would arm criminals and drug cartels and stuff like that. Well, they botched it up, and federal officers got killed by the very guns that they put into circulation to try to catch the bad guys. They ended up being used by the bad guys to kill the good guys. But no, we can't put any blame on them. We'll blame it on the gun nuts here in the United States. If everyone didn't want to have a gun in their house, that just even saying that makes me seethe. I'm sorry, it does. It makes me seethe from thinking about that. So they don't take responsibility. They don't say, well, if everybody didn't want to have to own a gun, we didn't have to worry about doing this. Oh, shut up. Good grief. I'm telling you. I'm sorry. I like to cover a lot of angst and the more seething and anger at what our lovely government does for us and for everybody else around the world, such as doing something stupid like they did like that, and blaming it on me and you. Never in our life do anything illegal. Period. Much less with a gun. But yet we're the ones getting smacked around under the hot light, a hot lamp, fingers pointing at us saying that we're guilty. You're the one that's causing all this because you like guns. We better move on here. Let's move on. Yes, a piece about Facebook, how it is ignoring one side of the debate and allowing the other side pretty much the same way you see every other website, like Yahoo. I look down, say, to go to Yahoo's page and scroll down, it has different types of, just all kinds of different news, government news, and entertainment. It's all kinds of news. But they are very slanted and really talk against conservatives. Everyone it really keeps up, and I'm not going there for it to be a news source for me. I'm just there because if I have a Yahoo, you can't check the mail, and I just flip down and look and just see. If they're reporting on anything that the secondary or alternate news people are doing, just like I do some of the other sites, and they are very liberal slanted, and Facebook is exactly the same way. A lot of people have gotten there. YouTube can be the same way. If you get you get a one-sidedness because people are leaning toward a liberal agenda to let everyone do what they want to do, and just doesn't matter what it does to anybody else. Everybody's their own God, so just let everybody else do what they want to do. And I'm gonna do what I want to do, and that's why we've got these mass shootings. It's not because of the evil gun. It's because the people believe, as I said earlier, talking about they believe we're just a bunch of animals, and they say, well, I'm my own gods, and I'm the own God of my life, so I'm going to control my life and do what I want to do. People said that. These people that have went on shooting sprees have said that. Saying, I'm the god of my life, and I said I was going to allow myself to go around and kill all these people. So anyway, that's kind of a weird segue into that. But anyway, these websites like that are, of course, are always going to be liberal slanted. It's just there again, you're going to have liberal slanted media and websites, and of course you're going to have conservatives. It's all, both are out there fighting. Do I have any predictions about how the election is going to go? No, not really. To be honest, I haven't. That's kind of been really the last on the agenda. To be honest, I've not really thought much about that, just because of really the way more important things, stuff that's going on in the world right now. Economy, weather apocalypse, shall we call it? Exclusive: former Pearson exec reveals anti-American agenda in Common Core. Everyone knows about Common Core, about the way it's being taught in the schools. Anti-American, that I don't doubt whatsoever. The days of of course, does everyone remember that when they were taking like American history or something, or when they were young, and that you just went step by step through history, and until you got in high school, it didn't really change and get more serious. Of course, it got a little bit more in depth years following. Of course, to go in high school, and when you're younger, in elementary, you're just getting the bare base. Oh, well, founding fathers and stuff like that. I've not looked in a history book, especially any that's used right now. But that would be, I would find it interesting to actually look at maybe an elementary school type book of American history, to see how the people have changed it or modified it to, who knows, make it sound like we were the evil ones, and we come over here, out of a loving nation that was taking care of us, and started this colony of barbarians, and here we are now, and we're just, I haven't looked at any kid children's books like that, at school books, but I think it would be interesting. But I could remember, Declaration of Independence, and doing all that, Constitution, and just going through, but this Common Core, it's got some stuff in it that you definitely don't want your kids to be subjected to, and I'll leave that there. That's really a thing for a parent, their children to really examine, and they're really trying to push Common Core, just trying to push it as hard as they can. Okay, well, let's see. Caution: graphic imagery. Well, we're not going to look at that. Post-collapse world will be violent and brutal. Well, that's great. That's good news. But to be expected. In news, it's kind of down, not as serious. Right now I'm still the economy and a total collapse is really at the forefront of my mind as far as issues go. But I'm still talking about all the rest of these issues. Not going into real detail about them. Just kind of giving. If you want to do research, I urge you and encourage you to do that. Okay. Next item says the price tag for implementing President Obama's executive gun controls. Oh boy, is wow. Imagine that, $80 million. Yes, you heard it right. You heard it first here, folks. President Obama's executive gun controls is $80 million. Attorney General Loretta Lynch declared during her January 20th testimony before the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee. So, there again. something that, okay, disclaimer once again, I don't want any bad guys to be able to get anything to hurt anybody, but they're going to get at people, whatever and however that they can. They have to steal it. It doesn't matter. Law us to death. It doesn't matter. The evildoer is going to still do evil. Washington can't get this through their thick skulls. Or they just don't care. They don't have to worry about it. They're surrounded by armed bodyguards and, vehicles with Kevlar reinforced frame, bodies, and, living in, secured buildings and, 24 hour round the clock security surveillance and security presence. So hey, we don't care. Let's just make it harder on the little guy to be able to defend and protect himself, no matter what they say. I know he's, he didn't say much, of course, in original election about guns a little bit, but at one point when he made the comment, I think it was in Pennsylvania, and he was speaking, he made the comment about people clinging to their religion and their guns, how ignorant, and all that stuff. Annoys me. Nothing we can do about it. That's just what he's wanting to do, and if he and actually I'm going to go ahead let's see. Bear with me here. This is okay. This goes with what I just read. President Obama sued in federal court over executive gun control. The president cannot simply announce sweeping new rules and implement them by giving a speech or issuing an executive memorandum. There you go. I absolutely agree. He's just, I guess he just thinks he's just the most powerful person on the planet. Got to remember, he's just a puppet. He's doing what the elite is directing him to do. The luminaries, the Luciferians. They talk about, the government doesn't want you to be armed. Well, it's not. You got to remember, it's not just the government; it's the elite of the world. Because, if it's a bloodbath and they cause a humongous, huge civil war, then and then everybody's just going to end up killing each other, and they're still going to have the land anyway. So they guide and direct stuff. They play the little chess game with us, caught in the middle. Can't do anything about it. It's just the way that's controlled. I said, brother, you sound awful defeated this morning. No, I'm just telling the truth. There's nothing, one of these elite I can't call and set up a meeting with, or write a letter to, or call and talk to, and tell them that they're wrong. I can only do something like this media here, and I'm small potatoes. So if they're not going to listen to some of the most prominent religious leaders in our world, shall we say, I'm not talking about the Pope or anything, because he's a lot of that stuff is in it too, based on Nazism and the stuff they do inside the actual shell of the Catholic Church, that the average Catholic doesn't know that's going on. We can barely talk to our own representatives. At one point I'm going to mention about what the laws were all about that I was talking about, and I wanted to see change. I actually, believe it or not, managed to get a meeting with one of our representatives of our area, and it turns out the guy that actually used to older fella, that when worked at a certain place he was working, and actually working for the school system, and eventually he ran and got to become one of the representatives. I actually got to meet him, and even got to go to his house and sit and talk to him, and actually about my concerns and everything. Turns out it wasn't nothing that he could do. He said, well, the changes I wanted to see made, the legislature had no interest in changing, so there was nothing he could really do, but at least he was willing to meet with me. There was another one that I actually had emailed and called, and they called me back, and I actually got a chance to talk to one of our other, a different one. So, hey, that's the way it should be. You should be able to, even probably they couldn't carry a hill. Probably they were sitting there. The one on the phone was probably sitting there going, yeah, well, yeah, I don't have a problem. It's probably sitting there reading the paper while he's talking. Probably didn't really care a hill of beans, but at least as I was able to do that. Right now we're in a position to where it's the Republicans against the Democrats, and we're just stuck in the middle, and none of them care what we have to say, what we want. They care about what they want, pushing their agenda. Their agenda is power and money, and getting ready to start shouting here, Matt. No, that's incredible. 80 million for the I didn't read through this. I'm just wondering exactly what is going to cost that much about it. I don't, I might read a little bit later. Really, I didn't want to go into too much detail on some of these because, like I said, I think everybody's more worried about the economy and such at this point. But that being a Second Amendment advocate myself, something like that, I kind of read and keep up with. But 80 million, good grief. Well, implement all that stuff. Like I said, just going to make it harder for me to buy a gun legally, and while it's just criminals are just gonna steal it. I don't know. What can you say? What can you do? We're just the little people. We can pray though. When we pray, we're giants. We've got direct contact with God. And if we can pray for stuff to change, sometimes He answers those prayers, and stuff changes or gets put off. And other times, it's just, if it doesn't change, then it's part of His will that these things happen. Which we should be fine with. We shouldn't stomp around and beat this war and smack stuff and just throw a big fit. You got to remember, God is actually sitting there listening to you and watching you when you're doing all this stuff. And you know what? I don't believe He likes brats very much. So anyway, moving on. Oh boy, let's see. Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Terrorizing Washington. Alex Jones talks with former Clinton insider about why Hillary Clinton has not yet been indicted. Over the whole deal about Benghazi and the whole emails fiasco, and would like to see it. She never will be, but she'll never spend a day in jail or indicted over anything. But at any rate, guy puts after this said before the U.S. is destroyed by nukes, and apparently this gentleman that posts a lot of this these mails, apparently he's it's very funny he uses this language, destroyed by nukes. I don't know if he's gotten some kind of insider, because at one point the elite had told him, and there's some other people that the elite and I'm not talking about the elites, talking about the Luciferians. I'm talking about the people that are high up, like generals that got stripes and stuff from here to here, and that are kind of way up there, and the rich people that are not part of the Luciferian world agenda, but actually telling some of these people, hey, 2 or 3 years ago, hey, it's stuff getting ready to happen. You need an exit strategy. You need to get out, and they were taking their, selling everything they had over here, taking their wealth, and they were moving to another country because they said that the coming collapse in the next few years was going to be a collapse like no other. So, yeah, I know people. I hate to report on stuff like this. I know we still have hope through the Lord. We do. But there again, when you see this day in and day out, and I've got to do this because this is part of the ministry about warning people about signs and the things that are coming. It doesn't, it just doesn't bode well. If you let your joy in the Lord slip just a little bit, then it makes you kind of miserable, doesn't it? But you gotta carry on, gotta push forward. So anyway, he's even said the U.S. before the U.S. is destroyed by nukes, God will reveal the sins of its leaders to the American people. It's here. And I talked about that before, talking about like for our country, other countries, whatever, the use of nuclear weapons as opposed to some kind of a virus, some kind of pandemic to wipe out the population, or just to get the population down below to a certain point that they want, basically to be used as slave labor for them, because they have underground bunkers and some of the stuff I've told you, underground areas and stuff that if it went into a lot of that stuff, you wouldn't believe it because it would sound so outrageous that most of you would just probably shut me off and just say, okay, he's just crazy. So you know what? I'm not going to go into that stuff unless I get a free course to talk about that stuff. Just suffice us to say, the elite do have underground bunkers, whole complexes underground that they move stuff in. In fact, one of the entrances was someone had snuck around and managed to actually film semi-trucks going in and out this tunnel. And it wasn't like a tunnel, like under, it was out in the middle of nowhere in a mountainous area. And the trucks were going in and out and in and out. Stuff like Walmart trucks and everything, just bringing supplies in right and left. And these were older videos, maybe 2 or 3 years. So, yeah. But see, it makes more sense to me if they're wanting to control the land. This is just my reasoning. They would do something like some kind of a pandemic, some kind of virus that would basically wipe out a percentage of mankind. That way, they can come out. They're the only people that would have the cure for it. Nothing else would work. Nothing that we have, no antibiotics or anything would touch it. But they would have the cure for it for them. That way they can turn land. They can't use irradiated land after a nuclear war has blown everything to pieces. So, not sure about that. Try to seek the Lord about stuff like that, and I just kind of read what it says, and I just kind of give my that views about that. I'm not saying that that's exactly absolutely what's going to happen. I'm just wondering. This guy is usually pretty much hits a nail on the head. Stuff he was talking about 20 years ago that people were uh, basically calling him, a fear monger, and spreading a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of sci-fi, and just he's just crazy, is actually starting to happen right now, and has been for the last few years. So this guy, and there's some others that have a good track record of insider information about what's going on, what's going to happen. So anyway, well, I'm going to leave it at that right there, and we'll see. We'll see what the Lord's going to do, or allow, should I say. Let's see here. Let's move on. Talking about there again, another article about the coming Jonas storm that's going to hit up north and down a little bit down toward the south here. Cashless society war intensifies during global apocalypse. Let's see, Willem Middelkoop, what a name. This could spark a global economic reset. Let's give me just 1 second. Let's letting this load right here. Well, I hate pop-ups. My goodness. Looming economic reset should terrify investors. Well, I mean, there again, we talk about the people's panicking, and no one is spending or buying anything. Well, except right now because of the storm and everything else, groceries and stuff like that, they're stocking up. So a lot of stores up north right now are bare. That's it. They've had a run, and they don't have anything left. And they're saying if people don't have any supplies that they managed to get before this, then sorry, you're just out of luck, man. So at any rate, let's see, practice. This guy just has several different theories, a lot of stuff I'm not going to bog down and talk about and worry about. It's stock market stuff, and other than just I do, I just especially when I'm reading it, I find economic news so mind-numbingly boring. But I'm just hitting the high points of seeing and looking for trends and stuff that's that they're saying that's happening and that will happen. I don't go into every little single detail, just because I would end up still all of a sudden waking myself up by snoring, and still be the computer still recording me after I started reading it. It would bore me so bad. At any rate, let's see. State of emergency declared. Just talking about the weather. State of emergency declared for Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and Washington ahead of blistering East Coast snowstorm. And mass panic buying clears grocery shelves before it's even arrived. Well, that's the same way down here. If we hear a little bit, if we're going to get sleet, all of a sudden you go to the store and there's people sitting there looking around and acting like they're panicked. People drive like they're in a panic. Got to get to the store and get everything before everything's bought out, and nothing's ever actually bought out, but at least not down here. But just because historically we don't have that bad of storms, really. Now we've had blizzards like everybody can probably down here remember the famous blizzard of 1993. Actually, I kind of had fun in Blizzard 93. I had a four-wheel drive truck and got out and played in the snow in the four-wheel drive truck when everybody else was kind of stuck in. It was fun. It was. A run on the banks. Here we go. This is what I've been mentioning, what I've been talking about, what's going to happen. A run on the banks. Actually, banks, money keep your money banks, begins in Italy as Italian banking stocks collapse. So people are seeing that and they're panicking, running in, getting all their money out. What was it the other day? Yesterday, it was from the night before or that morning. It was the Russian ruble that was collapsing. People, I don't know. It's almost like they're waiting for us to slit our own throats, to self-implode by pulling out and holding on to our money. It's like, well, it's the consumer's problem. They didn't spend their money to try to jumpstart the economy. We're not going to bail the banks out anymore, so it's on you. The doors are shut. Banks got your money, and it's no longer your money. So let me just tell you, I don't know how long, even after the fact, how much and how that your money's going to be worth anything. Before long, if especially if things accelerate, especially such as the mark of the beast, to where we can't buy or sell unless we have it. And you guys have heard me speak about the mark of the beast several times. My thoughts on it. Who knows for how long that the dollar, the American dollar, is going to die, and all you're going to have is just a bunch of worthless paper. You might as well use this to set fire with. But as of right now, people, when their banks run, they're getting their money out, and maybe keeping a little bit in it, in your accounts, just a hair, and if you didn't lose it, it wouldn't, don't want to lose any, but it wouldn't be anything that you'd be diving off a building over. We'll just say it that way. That's kind of harsh, but scary, but true. Get out, and the days of, as I said before, days of putting money and stuffing it inside your mattress to hide it are gone. Now you're putting them in fire safes, which I think that's smart. Hey, if the Lord gives us longer and this settles down, and nobody panics and it settles down and everything, hey, you can always put it back in, or you can keep it out and then start building back up again. That's the beauty of it. The real problem in this, the heart of it, when you're thinking about it, excuse me, really lies in the devaluation of the currency of the dollar, to where that it would be worthless. That's the whole issue. That's the whole problem. Especially if you're a person who's smart enough to right now be pulling out the vast majority of what you have in the bank. Now, I know if something doesn't happen, people are going to call me a fear monger and saying, well, he said that he thought that everybody should be pulling their money out because, well, the way the world's going, I'm not making up this news. Every country is in a panic right now, is in an economic panic right now. So, we can only report and look at what we, and, well, the news is, and I'm still not sure exactly. I might be look after this video's over with about what the mainstream is actually talking about. And up to one point, they weren't talking about nothing. And of course, there again, what was it, a week ago or so? You got the president stepping out. We got the strongest economy on the planet. There is nothing wrong with it. It's not weak. It's not blah 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 blah. He needs to look at these alternate news sources too, because he's very much in denial. But yeah, run. So this is another area. Italy, Italian banking stocks collapse. So run on the banks. People getting their money out. Let's see about this. I already read that about Obama being sued in federal court. Okay, let me click on this right here. Actually, well, wow. I'm gonna have to check this one out. I'm not sure. The title of this is "There is a secret military police structure that silently controls much of America, especially in regards to current and future plans regarding population culling and management." Well, I do know certain things about that, yeah. But the website that they've got it from is a little bit older, and I'm not so sure about. And I'm just not going to willy-nilly report something as gospel, if I'm not sure, if I've never been there and I don't know much about them, and I don't about this. The title actually is to a certain part true. We talked about that there's future plans about coaling and population management. That's the group of people, like I said, the Illuminists, Luciferians, that believe they're going to gain control of the earth, and they want to keep the human population under a certain amount. That way, basically no more middle class. All you got is the bottom slave labor and the top elite that control everything and have the best of everything. And that bottom class basically is slave labor for them. Just like having a job nowadays, paying your taxes, except to the 1,000th degree, to the uber degree. Oh wow. Snowmageddon 2016. More on the weather. Empty store shelves as panicked shoppers ransack grocery stores. And this says, if you don't have your food and groceries yet, I feel sorry for you, is what it says. Up north, I feel for them when they're getting this, but really up north they're used to this. That a lot of times it doesn't even slow down. Nothing really shuts down unless it's just the day after tomorrow type of a scenario. Like a mini ice age or something like that. They just plow on through it because they're used to it. Down here we have an inch of snow, and we think that, we're in a Snowmageddon. We don't know what winter it really is, thankfully. But at any rate, one more, and we're going to shut this down here. Well, not shut it down, but I'm going to probably do another teaching lesson, and I'll definitely keep up on the news today. And if anything goes on later on, I'll get back on and do another news video. It's no problem. Clinton emails, talking about the Benghazi whole scenario with Hillary, whatever. Clinton emails so secret, some lawmakers can't read them. Really? How? Why are they so secret that no lawmakers can read them? They certainly don't care to read any of our emails. If we put a word in that they're looking for, or a text or a phone call, that a word that's flagged, that they check closer to see exactly what was said. But so basically, hey, look, you're talking about some of the untouchables when you're talking about the Clintons, Obama, the rest of the, politicians in their ilk. Talking about the untouchables. They, even after, they get out of, her being at one time the first lady, gag. Now she's still untouchable, still, in there in the government. And hey, if they don't want you to find out something, they won't tell it to you. They'll find ways around it, and they'll sit and beat around the bush, and just delay and countersuit, and it's just a big mess, people. Washington is a huge stinking cesspool of a mess, and it'll never get any better. Never get any better, because as I said earlier, people, these politicians do not have your best interest at heart at all. Nothing. No way. Do not pass go, don't collect 200. They don't have your best. All they're in it for is money and power for themselves. That's it. All this stuff. I want to go to Washington. I want to fight for you. It's one of those, gag. when it's election time, I told you, oh, we go to Washington. I'm gonna fight for you. I'm fight for your rights and da 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 da. Then after about a year, they're this standard politician. Money and power. That's what they're in it for. At any rate, I'm not going to get off on that tangent. We've already talked about that, and that's the way it is. That's as Paul Harvey used to say, and now for the rest of the story. That's it. At any rate, we'll go ahead and end this. That's really the news, the alternate news today. Thus far. We've got all the snow coming in and ice up north, and depends on what we get here. I don't, I have to check and see if they've changed it here. But as I said, we'll keep on top of things, and if anything worth reporting comes out, especially with the weather, we'll even talk about the weather. We'll do everything, or most importantly, the economy, the way it's going right now. Then. We'll get back on and we'll bring it to you and everything. But good grief, talking about spending the economy. Well, got stores bought out, so people are spending, so that should help the economy. At any rate, God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. When you watch this, give a thumbs up, get us, subscribe if you like, the preaching, the teaching, and the news that we try to bring to you. Enjoy doing this because I feel like it's what God wants me to do. And want to be obedient to Him always. So at any rate, I hope everyone has a good day. Try to stay good and warm. And, when you're trying to come home, be careful in case something does start. As I said, I've driven home in pretty rough storms, so I know how nerve-wracking that can be. But at any rate, we will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Talk soon.